What if everything Canada thought it knew about its energy future just changed overnight? What if the country that has relied on others for decades suddenly decided to take full control of its destiny? And more importantly, what does that mean for you, your cost of living, and the future of Canada's economy? Because today, Mark Carney didn't just deliver another political speech, he drew a line in the sand. And if you missed it, you might be missing one of the most important turning points in modern Canadian policy. For years, Canada has leaned on global partners to help power its future. But now, Carney is making one thing absolutely clear: that era is over. In what many are already calling a defining moment of his leadership, he unveiled a bold, sweeping vision aimed at transforming Canada into a stronger, more energy-independent nation, one that is far less vulnerable to global instability. But here's where things get even more interesting. In the middle of this ambitious roadmap, Carney openly admitted something most politicians avoid: his government is changing course on one of the country's most debated policies. Why? Because according to him, the old approach simply doesn't work anymore in today's rapidly shifting world. And that raises a big question for you watching right now: is this a necessary evolution, or a risky gamble? This wasn't just another speech filled with promises. This was a blueprint. A strategic reset. A signal that Canada is preparing for a very different future. So let's break it all down step by step, because every part of this matters more than you might think. Carney begins by laying out the challenge in terms that are impossible to ignore. Canada, he argues, isn't facing just one problem, it's dealing with three major crises at the same time. An affordability crisis that's hitting households across the country. An energy security crisis that's exposing vulnerabilities. And a climate crisis that continues to demand urgent action. On the surface, that might sound overwhelming. And it leads directly into one of the most critical and controversial parts of his speech.
Today, we're faced with the types of decisions that come once every few generations, but will determine our future for decades. Our independence, sustainability, and prosperity will depend crucially on our ability to supply and control our energy. So I want to talk to you today about energy. We face an energy crisis on three levels. An affordability crisis. You don't need me to tell you about the price of gas. A security crisis. Fact is, the world's energy supply is being upended by conflict and coercion. And a climate crisis that's burning our forests and threatening our kids' futures. We need an energy transition that really works. The good news is that Canada has the solutions, and that when we control our own energy, we control our future. To understand that future, it's helpful to look at our history. Because we didn't become a great country just by accident. Some bold and wise Canadians built the infrastructure we often take for granted, and it's their efforts that can be the foundation of our success. We owe it to ourselves, our kids and our grandkids, to build again with the same ambition and the same positive spirit.
Now here's where the geopolitical stakes really start to rise. For decades, Canada has relied heavily on a single customer for its energy exports: the United States. It's been a stable relationship, a predictable system. But Carney argues that what once looked like strength has now become a serious vulnerability. Because when too much depends on one partner, the risks increase, especially in an unpredictable global environment. So what's the plan? Carney says Canada needs to diversify. To open new markets. To expand beyond its traditional partnerships and reduce dependency on any single country. This isn't just about economics. It's about national security, influence, and long-term stability. And here's the big question: can Canada successfully reposition itself on the global stage without disrupting the relationships it already depends on?
It's important to know that the global oil shock is happening even though Canada is producing far more oil than we ever have. In fact, only two countries have increased oil production more than we have this century: the United States and Russia. Most of our production has been for export. And almost all of those exports have gone to one country, the United States. The U.S. pays a discount for Canadian oil in part because it's been pretty much our only customer. That started to change last year, when the new Trans Mountain pipeline came online. For the first time, we have direct access from our west coast to fast-growing Asian markets. That gives us a better price for our oil and more resources to support Canadians. It's also why we're developing options for a second oil pipeline to the West Coast. And it's why we are building a series of projects to export low-carbon, liquefied natural gas to partners in Asia and Europe. As I said last time, our heavy reliance on the U.S. market was once a strength, but it's now a vulnerability. Put simply, we now need to build energy infrastructure to give ourselves more options. And those new options will be an important source of our strength, and they will help make our partners less vulnerable to conflicts. So much so that the G7 endorsed our strategy when it met recently in France.
This is the moment where the speech shifts from diagnosis to action, and this is where things get very real. Carney unveils what he describes as a national strategy to completely reshape Canada's energy future. And it's not small. It's not incremental. It's massive. We are talking about large-scale electrification across industries. A renewed push into nuclear energy as a stable, low-carbon power source. And major infrastructure investments designed to support long-term growth. This isn't just about keeping the lights on, it's about transforming how an entire nation powers itself. And whether you agree with every detail or not, one thing is undeniable. This is one of the most ambitious policy directions Canada has seen in years.
We can't allow the ability to power our lives and put food on our table to be forever at the mercy of outside forces. We need affordable, homegrown energy, and a lot of it. Our answer to domestic energy affordability, security, and sustainability is the same answer as Sir Adam Beck's: to power our way to a stronger, more resilient, more independent country that works for all. Because the path to affordability is electrification. The path to competitiveness is electrification. The path to sustainability is electrification. Through our new national electricity strategy, we'll build quickly and at scale to double our energy infrastructure and build a strong Canada that is powered by clean, affordable, and reliable energy. And through our complementary nuclear energy strategy, we will build on Canada's standing as one of the world's leading nuclear nations, developing new reactors at home, exporting Canadian expertise abroad, and delivering clean baseload power and good jobs in communities right across this country. Over the coming decades, Canadians will use more electricity because many of the things we use every day, the cars we drive, the heaters in our home, and the machines in our factories, are switching to electric power. With the right investments and electrification measures, 7 in 10 Canadian households will pay less for their total energy by 2050. That's $15 billion right back in the pockets of Canadians. That's because electric machines are 2 to 4 times more efficient than those they replace. So as we electrify our transportation, our buildings, our industry, the electricity slice of our energy budget grows, but the entire pie shrinks. We start from a position of strength. Canada has amongst the lowest electricity costs in the world, and our system is already 80% non-emitting. We will need to double our grid over the next decades if we're going to accomplish our goals.
But here's the reality, and Carney addresses it head-on. Big plans don't mean anything if they can't actually be delivered. Canada has a long history of delays, complex approvals, and fragmented decision-making processes that slow everything down. And in a world that's moving faster than ever, that's a problem. So what does he propose? A shift toward speed. Toward efficiency. Toward cutting through the red tape that has held projects back for years. Carney argues that if Canada wants to compete globally, it can't afford to move slowly anymore. The question is, can the system actually change? Or will these ambitions get stuck in the same bottlenecks as before?
Canadians will end up short of power, losing good jobs and remaining exposed to those foreign shocks. We can't pursue business as usual. We must do things differently. That means linking provincial systems. It means spreading the costs of new generation over time, so that ratepayers today don't pay all the costs of these investments that will benefit Canadians over decades. It means reforming the permitting and approval processes so we can move forward faster. And it means new partnerships with Indigenous peoples to share fairly the benefits of this transformation. It means a willingness to use a wide range of energy sources and technologies, including hydro, nuclear, wind, solar, gas, carbon capture, geothermal. As was the case with the OPEC embargoes in the 1970s, The consequences of the oil crisis caused by the Iran war will be with us for a long time. It'll be much easier to restart oil and gas flows through the Straits of Hormuz than it will be to reestablish trust amongst global trading partners. In many respects, in this global disruption, trust has become the most valuable commodity. Our natural resources are a great gift, but the trust other countries place in Canada is something even more special. We've earned it, and we must keep earning it. Trust starts here at home. That means how we build is just as important as what we build. Building sustainably so that all our developments are low carbon. Building in solidarity with workers to create high-paying union jobs. And building inclusively with Indigenous peoples, with real consultation and meaningful economic participation and ownership. That's how we build Canada strong for all.
And now we reach what might be the most politically sensitive part of the entire address. Carney openly acknowledges that his government is changing Canada's climate strategy. Not tweaking it. Not adjusting it. Changing it. Why? Because, according to him, the world has changed. Global realities have shifted. And the strategy that once made sense no longer aligns with today's challenges. It's a statement that is guaranteed to spark debate. Because climate policy is one of the most divisive issues in modern politics. So here's the real question: is this a pragmatic adjustment based on new realities, or a controversial pivot that could reshape Canada's environmental commitments? Either way, it's a move that will not go unnoticed.
I promised you I wouldn't sugarcoat tough messages. The climate plan we inherited from the previous government was well-intentioned and well-suited for the times in which it was designed. The climate crisis is still with us, and our commitment to fighting it is absolute. The certainties of the world of 2015 are long gone. Our neighborhood hasn't been this hostile since when Canada was founded. The world hasn't been this unstable geopolitically since the end of the Second World War. We must establish stability amidst this chaos. The energy transition will be a source of great stability in the long run, but while it's underway, it can equally be a source of disruption. No country is better positioned to thrive in both eras than Canada, and we need not allow the transition from one era to another to pull us apart. The goal remains the same, but as times have changed, we must change our plan to get there. We can't afford to restrain the growth of an important part of our energy mix, oil and gas, to meet a short-term goal. I want to be clear on this point. The changes we have made will mean that our emissions will be higher in the next few years than they were projected to be under the previous government's plan. But in my judgment, that plan was not sustainable over the long term. It would have been too expensive for Canadians who are already struggling with affordability. It would have let down our partners who need new sources of energy, and it would do so right at the time when we need them to help us become more independent of the United States. And it would have been too divisive for our country. In the current environment, the old plan was an open opportunity for those people who wish to pull Canada apart, both at home and from abroad. Our new plan will help build clean energy on a scale that would astound even Sir Adam Beck. It will make Canada more sustainable, more affordable, and more prosperous. It will build Canada strong together. As you enjoy Canada Day this year, I hope you get time with the people you love. And I hope also you can take a moment to reflect on the many blessings we enjoy in this great country. I hope that in the coming year, we can continue to build in their spirit. It will not always be easy, but Canada is worth it. It always has been. Thank you for your time. I know it's valued.
Carney isn't just talking about energy. He's talking about independence. About resilience. About control. And whether you support this vision or question it, there's no denying its potential impact. If it works, it could reshape Canada's future for decades, creating new opportunities, strengthening the economy, and reducing reliance on external forces. But if it fails, the consequences could be just as significant, affecting everything from energy prices to global competitiveness. So now it comes down to you. Do you believe this is the right direction for Canada's energy future? Is this the bold leadership the country needs right now, or a high-stakes gamble with too many unknowns. If you found this breakdown valuable and want more deep-dive analysis on Canadian politics, energy policy, and global power shifts, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Don't forget to like the video, it really helps push this content to more viewers. And share your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.